morning. Happy Wednesday. Thank you for joining me today. I hope you're having a great day. Our prayers are for those along the Alabama coast. It's getting hit really hard. I have a lot of family in that area, and I'm waiting to hear that they're all safe and everything's okay. But I am Julie with Creations by Julie, and I go live every Wednesday at 11 o'clock in the morning Central Time, and it's called Whatever Wednesday. And I'm sorry, I was busy this morning and forgot to put the reminder up there, but let us know you're here when you hop on and where you're from. Hopefully Ed's going to be able to see comments and let me know who's here.
Jeannie and Brenda Bracken.
Okay, hey Brenda, hey Jeannie. Jeannie, were you able to go to work today? I call it Whatever Wednesday because you never know what we're going to do. My goal is to show you easy, inexpensive crafts, things that you can do to make home decor for your home. Today we're going to do what I'm calling a rag tree. Now I'll show you the way I did it and tell you my sizes, but pretty much you could do it any way you wanted to do it.
Brenda Bracken says that's where she's from too.
Oh, but now Brenda, you're living in Tennessee, right? Okay, today I did this last week and I'm calling it, I wanted to do something kind of country that wouldn't be just for Christmas. I have bought some Christmas material, but today we're going to do this in the next size down, a smaller size. It has 5 different types of material on it. And this one, the dowel itself is cut at 14 inches because you have to allow for the top and a little bit for the dowel go in the bottom. We'll talk about that in a minute. You could make it as tall as you want to. Just know that if it's taller than 14 inches, it's going to take more material than what this one would. But I picked out 5 different, well actually it's 4 materials and 1 piece of lace for this one. And I'm not a seamstress, so I'm not sure what you call how you rip the material, but you would do this the same way if you've ever done a rag wreath. It's pretty much done the same way, it's just the pieces are cut in different lengths. So I also played with this one last week. Now this one is a little different because it's all one material. It is a very thin material, but I loved it because it was a little more expensive than some of your other material. But I loved it because it's the same pattern on both sides, and that makes a real pretty tree. But how many pieces and how many yards you need will depend on your fabric and how many colors you want to do it. Basically, this one, I was able for a yard, I bought a yard of this black and red. I was able to get this tree done and about 1/3 of the smaller one. So basically, if you're using kind of a thin material, and also this was not the real wide material, I think this was like 36 inches and not the, 72? So that would make a difference too. But you're gonna, basically, if you wanna do one color, get a yard. On this one, I bought 4 different types of material and then a roll of lace. And I bought a 1/2 yard, and I was able to do this one. I'm pretty sure I have plenty to do the next size down and maybe even one smaller. So there again, that's with 5 different pieces of material. So do you have any questions before I show you the base and we get started? I know there's a delay, but if you would, I would appreciate it. If you have friends that love to craft.
Karen Bodine said hello from Alabama.
Oh, where are you in Alabama, Carolyn? Hopefully you're up north Alabama, not getting. I texted my sister this morning to see if she had power, and I have not heard anything, so I'm not sure what's going on there, but it looked like they're just getting tons of rain. I don't think it ended up, but maybe 80 miles an hour winds. But now 80's a pretty high wind too. Anyway, I would appreciate it if you haven't already, liked my page, follow my page so that you can see all my lives, but also if you would share this video with your friends. That does 2 different things. It number one, would help you be able to find it on your page when you go back maybe to make a tree, rather than scrolling all over to find it on my page. Plus, it helps me with Facebook. You have to understand the algorithms of Facebook. They don't show my posts to everyone. It's just maybe 1% of my followers. So they want engagement. What they call engagement is every time you make a comment on something I post, if you share something I post, all of that is engagement. And the more engagement I get on something, the more people they'll show it to. So I would just appreciate it if you would share the video.
Brenda back and sprinkle.
Okay, thanks, Brenda. You know, that's another thing. It's my understanding that you can say the word share on your Facebook Lives as long as you don't have a contest. There's a lot of people that give away things. What Facebook doesn't want you to do is to use the share to get people to have their names put in a pot or stuff like that. It's the contest thing that they don't want, but I appreciate every share, and that's what Brenda meant by sprinkle, because that's what a lot of people use, because they say you can't use the word share. But we're not giving away free prizes for anybody that shares, not yet. I may eventually. I'm working on a lot of different things to improve my page. Hopefully now this particular project today, Ed won't need to zoom in too far because it's kind of big right here in front of me that we're gonna work on. But if you're watching this on replay, comment, share, I appreciate it. And I will go back after the video and read all the comments, answer any questions you have. And so, okay, let's kind of get started on explaining what you need. Okay, we started out, this is just a little piece of wood from Walmart. I think there's like 4 in a package. They're not very expensive. We bought a dowel. We actually cut it in 3 pieces. I can't tell you, how wide would you say this? It's a real tiny dowel, but I don't think it matters that much.
1/4 inch.
He says it's a 1/4 inch. So what Ed did is he took his drill or whatever, and you want to make a circle in the middle. You don't have to use these little wood pieces. I just liked them. You could cut a piece of wood. Something that's going to give you a firm base is what you want. Then you're going to measure, depending on how tall you want your tree. Like I said, this dowel was 14 inches. This dowel was 12. So you put a hole and push your dowel all the way down in it to where it's steady. You might have to glue it. Ed did these tight enough that it's not coming out, and I didn't have to glue it. So that's what you want to start with. That's your base. Okay, am I crooked? Ed keeps piddling with the camera. I think maybe he wants to make an appearance again. Okay, I've already cut my strips of material. Remember, it just depends. This is another piece of that fabric that is the same on both sides and very thin. So what I did is I cut 1.5 inches. Every 1.5 inches, I made a slit. And you want to hold it and tear it. I know there's a name for it. Those of you that are seamstress, I don't know. I just usually slit it and then see if I can tear it. I don't know if it's the salvaged edge that you start or what, but anyway, that's how you're going to get your strips going. And I left this, and then you're just going to tear, same way you would with a rag wreath, and you get your strips. Then you want to go back and get loose any of the loose threads. There's going to be a lot of threads, and what I do is I just start with it and just kind of run my hands down it and pull most of those loose threads. See, I've got a handful right there. And just your strip will be the width of your material. So if it's 36-inch material, then you're gonna have strips of 36 inches. And I've already done all of them except these 3 little ones right here. So let's pull the rest of these threads off. Now this material has a red line on the edges, and I cut that off because I didn't want to see that on my tree. So that's really the only thing I did to prepare the material, is to get all the what threads I could get loose, and then cut. Are you gonna pull that up on your laptop, see if you can read comments better? Okay. So that's what I did with every piece of material. Now I'm gonna take this and just cut off those ends for now. Okay, so I have this, and I have this many of them here that I'm gonna be working with. I don't know how many it's gonna take total. But like I said, I did 4 colors. So I have this one. This is just a beige, real lightweight cotton, I guess. It's not thick at all. It's almost see-through, but it's just a real light color. Then I have this one that is a kind of a gray and beige stripe, ticking, I think is what it's called. There again, it had a white border kind of on it, and I cut it off. What did you say?
Mattress cover.
Oh, Ed says it looks like a mattress cover. I think it's called ticking. Okay, now this one I know on camera probably looks exactly like the solid beige, but it's not. It's got a real light pattern to it. Almost looks like leaves, but it's just a real light color. So that is my 4 fabric pieces. And then I bought this lace. I don't know if I'm gonna have enough of it to finish the small tree or not, but I have some more lace and it's just thinner. So I think what I'll do, this was pretty thick and kind of hard to tie, so I think what I'll do is I'm gonna use this thinner lace. Okay, once you have all your strips done, and what I do is I just do the lace separate. You're gonna take them, whatever type of material you use, if it's all one color, you want to put 5 strands. Gather up 5 different strands. And you're still gonna have strings, that's just a part of it. But that's okay, you want it to look rustic. I'll probably have string all over me. Okay, so that was 2. Right now it doesn't matter what order you put them in. 3. 4. Okay. And for this first one, put those down there. To start at the bottom, I'm gonna add my lace on this too. So that gives me 5 strands. If you're using one color material, you want 5 strands of it. So the bottom part, you're gonna want, the person I watched doing this did 11 inches, but I had to cut a good bit off, and I thought, I'm gonna go with 10, because I didn't wanna waste all that material. So you're just gonna measure out, and you want 10 pieces. So you've got 5 here, so you're gonna do 10 inches twice, okay? And I have found that I like cutting it as I go. You could cut it all, and because you're gonna decrease your sizes as you go up. So what I'm gonna do, then you just start tying it. That's all it's gonna be. Not even a knot, just one tie. Tie it on the bottom and push it down. You can pretty much go in any order you want to, but you're gonna have like 2 of each. So if you wanna do a pattern, you can. And what I do is I kind of turn my base so all your tied knots are not in the same place. And that's how that's what you do all the way up. So you're just like the rag wreath, you're tying material onto this dowel rod. and you want the whole thing to kind of be covered, so you just turn it and push it down to where it's kind of a pattern all over. All right, let's try the lace. So how many of you are living to where you have rain today? We actually could use a little bit of rain and definitely some cool weather. I think it was back up in the 90s yesterday. And I don't want 25 inches like some of Alabama got. Okay, so I think I've used all 5. And then I'm just gonna start over. You don't have to worry about doing it in a certain pattern. You just kind of look at the pieces you've got. These are all cut at 10 inches. So you're gonna have 10 pieces at 10 inches. And just push it down as you go. It looks real crazy to start with, but trust me, it does turn out to be really cute. It doesn't take very long. The longest thing is probably just cutting your material. I was going to do 3 sizes, but I think I've changed my mind and I'm just gonna offer 2. The 14-inch and the 12-inch, and then I may do some smaller ones than that, but do them. I bought some Christmas material. I think that'll be interesting. Okay, these were all at 10 inches. So it's 10 pieces at 10 inches. Then I'm gonna go down to 9 inches. Push it down. All right, so I'm gonna take the same material bundle and do 9 inches. And I'm gonna do 10 of those. So there's 5. And see, that's all I have left of that strip. Don't throw them away, but, okay. Ed said y'all weren't gonna wanna sit here and watch me just tie this. But that's the only way I can show you how to do it, is to just do it. And you know, the red and black was very quick and easy because I didn't have to think about what to do next. It was all one color. The main thing you want to do is just make sure it's tied on there tight. Turn it around as you tie, so all your, otherwise your tree will be flat on one side.
Brenda Bracken said, yes, we want to watch.
Brenda, I really miss watching your lives. We're gonna have to get you going in with something. Okay. Because you're part of the reason I decided to step out of my comfort zone and do lives. Because trust me, this is not my thing. That's why I just wanted to start once a week. Okay. Does it make sense as you see it come together? And then you're going to trim it at the end. Shape it the way you want to shape it. But I really believe, like I said, the pattern basically said do 11 inches, then 10 inches, then 9 inches. But I felt like I cut off so much and I didn't want to waste the material. And you see why I say it's going to depend on the thickness of your material. This ticking, oh, I forgot to mention, the ticking is thicker, so I only cut it at 1 inch. I didn't cut it at 1.5. Thinner material, 1.5, but if the material's pretty thick, it's too hard to tie it and it leaves a gap. So I only cut it at 1 inch, but everything else was 1.5. And do you understand how I was saying cut the material? Just lay it out, and every 1.5 inches, do a cut, and then just rip it. Okay, so I'm gonna have to get 5 more. 1, 2, 3, and then I need the solid one, no pattern. Oh, that's pattern. I shouldn't have mixed those two, probably. Okay. So that's 4. And then I think my lace went running. Hang on. Okay, so we have done 10 and 9. This is going to be 8. Now, once you get to where you've made a couple of these, if you want to do another thing of 9 and make it fuller or whatever, you could. I'm going to do 8. That's what's so great about crafting. You just decide what you like. But you pretty much, to start with, you want to do 10 pieces that you're going to be tying. And then it's a simple thing, just cut and tie. I'll try to work a little bit faster. So what has been y'all's favorite craft that we've done? Or have you had a favorite? I've tried to do a variety of things. I'm not positive about next week yet, but I think we're going to use napkins again. I got in some really cute Christmas napkins. I think we're going to decoupage with some napkins next week. And I don't know, go back and watch the live I did where we did the sunflower wreath. I have 1 kit left of that. Is it good?
Kaylee Hallfield said they really liked the magnolia stuff from last week.
Yeah, I thoroughly enjoy my magnolia stencils. Sometime when y'all have time, maybe just search on YouTube and look at all the videos that people have done with those magnolia stencils, and we will definitely do more of those.
Jeannie liked the large print.
Yes, I think that's been my favorite stencil, and I'm going to do a few more of those in different colors, but I haven't checked. I don't know if I feel like that stencil is going to sell out, but they're usually really good about keeping things in stock. And they have some really, really neat. The Waymaker, they have some very nice stencils.
Jeannie also liked the chef scissors.
Yeah, Ed has done a really good job cutting some wood. This week I actually took a couple of those dollar wooden frame things from the dollar store and painted them and decoupaged Christmas gnomes on them. I think, you want to go get one, Ed? They're laying on the bed. I did a set of 2. They're in the spare room. They turned out really cute. So I think I'm probably going to put together a napkin bundle before next week and offer it to you. Thank you. These are the shelf sitters. Actually, they were done, I know I showed y'all, they started out orange, the little signs from Dollar Tree. And so this week I made this little set of shelf sitters that stand on their own, or you could hang it, but they're Christmas gnomes. I'm not finished with them, I haven't sealed them yet. So, but that's one thing I worked on this week. So, Dollar Tree, I'm telling y'all, grab the cheap dollar frames. Those had glitter on them, and I had sand off all the glitter, and then I painted them. Okay, that was 8 inches, and 7, 6. I think I'm gonna do.
Jeannie wanted to know if you made the mask.
mask to wear. No, I'm not a seamstress, don't have a sewing machine. I know a lot of people have made them, but I haven't done that yet. I probably would make a big mess. I think I'm gonna do, oh, I got one more. I think I'm gonna do the next one about 7.5. You don't want them smaller than 5 because I discovered that's too hard to tie them on. So I think I'm just gonna go down 1/2 inch for this next group of them. So I'm gonna do like 7.5. One thing I love about crafting is, like I said, oh, let's see what those are. Those are like 10. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this at 7. And then I'll get my others together here in a minute. But yeah, the magnolia stencils, you could stay busy every day doing different stencils. Because, I mean, you can put them on anything. I've done, I ordered some wood panels, and I'm actually decoupaging some of the hems on it to sell them too. But, okay, these are 7.5. I didn't want a huge change. This really doesn't take that long. I need to quit talking, but then it's so quiet in here. We need to do Zoom or something to where I can hear y'all. Of course, I'm not good at Zoom either. We're still doing our Sunday school by Zoom, but we all make sure that we have ours, no video and mute. Then you just turn it on when you want to say something. But we're all just fine with our Sunday school teacher being the only one that you can see. Because I'm usually sitting there with my cup of coffee and my pajamas still. We're beginning to venture out just a little bit. It's been a long 6 months. Ed and I have not gone back to church in person. We're still doing it on Facebook. But I'm hoping before too long we can. We actually at church had our first choir practice last Sunday, but not in the choir loft. We sat in the auditorium spaced apart. But I actually go to my cardiologist today for a 6-month checkup, and I'm praying he will release me to get on with things in life. And our numbers are going down here. We had several days last week in West Columbia where we had no cases. But, you know, school just got back in session, so it probably won't stay like that long. Okay. You just want to keep pushing them down. It's beginning to take shape, and you're going to, you know, you'll see you'll have to take your scissors and trim it up the way you want to. But like I said, they turn out to be really cute, and it's not much to it. You're just tying half of a knot. Whoops. Okay. Those were 7.5. That was 10 of them. These are 7. Let me cut another group of them. I think I'm probably going to have enough material to do a smaller one if I wanted to. So this was a half yard of all the different ones. So it was 4 types of material, half a yard of each. Okay. I have here the patterned one. And I'm gonna do 7 inches. Nothing like watching the same thing over and over and over, huh? Y'all could go make you brunch and come back. Just see the finished product. And as far as the tops, I'll show you, you could do anything you want to at the top. You could just tie a bow. You could use the wooden stars like I used on the one, and I'll show you how we did that. Then I've picked up two different things from Hobby Lobby. One that I put like a rustic star that I put on the black and red. I may see about finding a pretty, or paint a gold star to go on my Christmas one. We'll see. Doesn't take that long. You've got 10 of each size. Takes longer to rip the material than anything. I'm actually going to have these on my website for sale. I'm going to do a set of 2. And they'll be easy to mail. As you get on up, it's going to depend on what you want to put on the top as to how far you go. Okay. That was, were those 7? That was 7, right? All right, let's go 6. I'm still going to have a good bit, I think, that I want to cut on the bottom. I'm actually going to do 6.5 because I think I have plenty of material. Okay. I picked out these colors because I thought it would make it look more of a farmhouse look. And you could leave these on your mantle or counter, bar, whatever, all year. But I am going to do Christmas ones too. So did Jeannie ever answer me if she was working, or are they at home trying not to flood? Because I know her house is kind of in a bottom. Sometimes you might have to put 2 a little bit alike because, like I said, I've got 2 here that are really close together. One does have a pattern and one doesn't. And I'm going to stop here in a few minutes and kind of show you the different tops, because if I was going to use the rustic top, I would need to stop pretty soon and put it on because it's got a piece that comes down over the dowel, and then add the strips to it. So when I get through with this, I'll show you the tops. Like I said, you could just do what you want to, a bow, bells.
Donna Smith said she loved the trees. She's gonna make one for sure.
Good. Donna, are you home? You still in Alabama? Okay.
She didn't wanna know what you said. It went on pause and she didn't catch it.
Oh, I was just asking about the rain and how y'all are faring, if you were able to go to work today or if you stayed home. But I knew if you were at work, sometimes you have it on mute. So, okay. Now let me show you. This is the rustic star. And if you use something like that, I bought it at Hobby Lobby, and this is what it looks like. It was like $3, but you know, I think I got it 40% off. But if you're using something that has like the spring, it makes it real easy, but you have to like put it on there to see how far down. And what I did was stretch the spring down and tighten it, and then just put a little glue at the top, and then I went back up over it. But it just depends on what you're going to use for your top. Hobby Lobby also, I bought this little star. I haven't put them on anything yet. So can you see that? It pretty much is whatever you want to do. What I did and what I will do for this one is I took these little stars. They came from Hobby Lobby, and I think you get about 8 of them for $3. And I left it the color it was. I just went around the edges with a little bit of antiquing. And then the way we put them together is Ed did some just little bitty pieces of wood, kind of like a shimmy type thing. And he put them, spaced them to where you had like one on each side like this, and where the center is where you would put your dowel. So you'd need to glue those on there, measure it, and then once you put them together like this, we didn't want them flat. We wanted just a little bit of space between them. But if you put those little slivers of wood there, then it opens it up, and then you just slide the 2 stars. And that's what I'll do with this one too. So I don't have to stop my material until I get about here. So you would just then glue the 2 stars together, put them down over the dowel. Okay, these were 6.5, right? So let's go 6. Like I said, you don't really want to get smaller than 5, because at the very top you could use a couple at 5.
Jeannie said they would work for an hour and a half, and then got sent home. The power was blinking on and off.
How is flooding? Okay, we're gonna do these 6, and I ran out of that particular lace, so let me open another one. And this lace was just from the Dollar Tree for $1 a roll, so it doesn't have a whole lot on it, but yet it's pretty lace. But I don't want to cut it. And I won't add lace to my one at Christmas with the Christmas material. But you might want to add like tubing or something, do it shiny. Okay, push it down. All right, let's start with one of these again. And like I said, the smaller you get with your material, the harder it is to tie. Keep moving your dowel around so that you're tying all the way around the edges so you don't get flat part of your tree.
Jeannie said flooding doesn't seem to be a problem, but they have a lot of trees down.
Well, as long as it doesn't fall on your house, that's okay. Ed was saying he was hoping the barn thing where Pat puts her horses had good roofs on them. But I haven't heard from her yet today. Okay, we're getting there. I think y'all can see, even doing this one, the bottom at 10 inches, it's too long. I'm gonna cut it. Because I think that's, I don't know, I'll look at it later, but I will like set it down like this and get them all to fan out, and then I'll just take the scissors and go around it and trim off the long pieces. So really, yeah, I haven't, I had a half a yard of all 4 of this material, and you can see this is what I have left. So I definitely have enough to make another tree. So I would plan on a yard for the big tree if you're doing one color. If you're doing 2 colors, get a half a yard of each. But if you want to do 2 trees, then you could probably get a yard of each and get 2 trees out of it. Most of your dowels, I think, are what, 36 inches, Ed? Aren't they about 36 inches in length?
Yeah. Average.
So, I mean, if you wanted to make 3 trees, your dowel would be enough to do all 3. And like I said, it's kind of like the rag wreaths. It's just a little time consuming ripping all of it. All right, I had some short pieces over here. I'm going to use them. What I have these too. Let's do about 5 1/2 of these. Y'all have any ideas of something to put at the top? What would you look at possibly, other than just a bow? I really like the stars, but you could put a bell. You could find a really cute miniature tree ornament. But these 2 I want to match, so I will be putting just the plain stars at the top. Ooh, that one's really, I'm going to use up the scrap material. It's just hard to tie. Okay, I think this is probably all I'll be able to get on here, because I have to have room for that star to fit down over the end of, oops. And that's really the only place you're going to use glue, is to get your bottom on, to put your dowel in your little circle, and to put whatever you put on top. I might could fit one more on there. Tell you what, let's do a piece of lace. Then, after I put the stars on, I might go back and put another piece, but we'll fix the stars and then they'll go like this. And I think with that one, I went back and maybe added. But then a lot of times, turn your tree upside down and get them. And then just take your hands. I don't particularly like how long some of these are. So I'm just going to go cut them off a little. And there again, it's personal preference as to how wide you want the bottom of your tree to be. Or how many strings you want on it. Okay. I think I kind of like that.
Show the other one so you know.
Okay. And after the live, when I get back from the doctor today, I will put the stars on the other one. Ed's gonna have to go get me little pieces of wood, but these will be a set. There again, if you weren't here at the beginning, this dowel was 14 inches, which you actually end up with a tree about a foot, about 12 inches, because you have to allow part for the star and for the wood. So that's, when I fix the stars and put them on this one, that's what it'll be. That would be a set of 2. And that's the way I'm gonna put them on my website. And I have material to do another one probably, but I ran out. I only bought this red. This is the bigger one that's 14 inches. Still, like I said, it turns out to be, you know, to the top of the material, about a foot. But I did the same thing, only I think with this one I actually started with 10 inches again, not 11. I think you'll be fine if you do 10. You might want to do 10, 9.5, 9. You could just go by increments of a ½ inch if you wanted to. And it would make it a little bit fuller and it wouldn't get narrow quite so fast, but it's just up to you. Play around with it, have fun. That's what crafting is all about. Just coming up with ideas and just having fun. But I bought a yard of this material. It's really thin and it was more expensive because it's the same pattern on both sides, which I like. And it did this tree and about a third of the next size. So I need to go buy more of this material. It came from Hobby Lobby. So I need to go buy a little bit more of it. But that's it for today, y'all. I appreciate you being here. Like I said, this is not hard at all. It's a very, very easy craft. You can do it with whatever material you want to. In the next week or two, I bought 2 different types of Christmas material. And so I'm gonna do it in 2 colors. And I'll be working on that. And I'm sure you'll see it on my Facebook page sometime or another. But I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure next week we are going to be doing the decoupage for the napkins. And like I said, if you weren't here earlier, these are the 2 I just did this week. I got these 2 napkins in, and they're just cute as they can be. So we're gonna be decoupaging. I think I may make some coasters next week for you too, but these are just the little Dollar Tree frames that I painted. They were bright orange with glitter. So think outside the box. That's what we talked about last week. There's a lot you can do. Very inexpensive. I mean, the napkins, now I ordered them, but they're like, you know, you can get them at Tuesday Morning, Big Lots. A lot of places have really cute napkins. So be on the lookout for those and think of all the different things you could do with them. We just sanded the front of these signs, got the glitter off. I painted them like a country white and Mod Podged the napkins on the top of it. And later this week I'll go back and spray them and seal them. I think I'm probably gonna sell them as a set because, you know, it's actually the same napkin. There's 2, you know, you get 4 pictures out of 1 napkin. So there were 2 of this one and 2 of the one with the apple. And I've put together some napkin bundles that I'm going to be putting up on my website for sale. I think it's 15 napkins, and it'll probably be about, you know, $20 for the 15 napkins with free shipping. So if you're interested, be on the lookout for that, and I'll show all the different napkins next week when we decoupage. But this is one of them in the bundle. And some are this size. This is the luncheon size, and some are the beverage size. So anyway, that's all for today. And again, please like and share this video. Even if you're watching it on replay, share it to your page. I would really appreciate it. It helps me grow my business. And y'all have a great rest of the week and stay safe. Thanks. Bye-bye.